Time. A resource so easy to squander, and yet impossible to recover. For every activity we partake in, every person we deal with, every goal we set, there is a time investment. It is as though we are signing a mental contract that allows some of our lifespan to be taken from our finite reserve in exchange for some pursuit. I would not be hard-pressed to suggest that this finite reserve contains the most valuable resource we have: our time left on this planet. Without it, there is no other resource that can be procured, no other resource that can be used. How odd is it then, that a resource so valuable can be used so callously by so many? Perhaps I'd even venture to say that we are all guilty of spending time in a manner that will not serve us, that may even degrade us and impair the quality of our lives. How many arguments have you had with another person that have led nowhere, that you have thought afterwards, why did I even bother? Indeed, we could think of countless examples, perhaps not even concerning another person, where we have regretted spending our time in a particular way. Oversleeping in the morning, watching a silly video, scrolling through social media. We commonly describe time we regret spending as wasted time. For much of us, wasted time permeates our lives. What, in the moment, seems to be a fairly innocuous and measly time investment can manifest into something much greater, as habits are formed, persist, and stay in effect for days, months, years, decades. What starts as a desire to distract yourself from that daunting university work manifests in stress as our time reserve continues to deplete. Each day justifies more procrastination. And then, when we look back on these occurrences in hindsight, we ask ourselves, how could I possibly have allowed this to happen? Perhaps we even then begin to contemplate where all the time has gone, how a day can seemingly start and end in a flash, not even reserved a place in our memory, even as little as a few days later. Maybe we have days where we are disappointed for not reaching the goals we set for ourselves, or where we do little of value. Days that continue to add up. A deficit in our reserve that becomes increasingly large, but less noticeable as these days fade from memory. Consider this for a second. The human brain is one of, if not the, most vastly intricate system known to exist in the observable universe. So purpose-driven, yet so easy to sway from its purpose. Capable of so much, yet capable of so little. These dichotomies exist because of the disparity each individual has in their choices, mindset, lifestyle, and aspirations. There is just simply so much knowledge to attain, so many crafts and disciplines to specialize in, so many skills to develop, so much physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional development to be made. Perhaps the greatest tragedy is for one to have to come to terms with what could have been, to look back on a life filled with potential, A life in which fulfillment was available, but not pursued. Sadly, some would determine that it's just simply too late, that their opportunity to live the life that they have envisioned for themselves has already slipped through their fingers. They deem themselves to be out of time. But for the vast majority, this is not the case. Every pursuit that is made has a decision accompanying it, a time investment that we consent to, a judgment that we make. It is, then, a matter of considering which pursuits best align with our desire to lead a fulfilling life. Life is, after all, a game of compromises. To prioritize one pursuit, others must be neglected. So, we should choose carefully which ones to prioritize. I'm not going to pretend that this is a straightforward process. To reach a life that is fulfilling is almost always going to be long and arduous, yet the returns are always worth it. Ask yourself the following questions. Am I living a fulfilling life? Is the value of my time reflected in how I tend to spend it? If your answer to one or both of these questions is no, consider whether you are willing to make the changes necessary to one day be able to answer both with a resounding yes. Once again, the returns are always worth it. Do what is easy, and your life will be hard. Do what is hard, and your life will become easy. Les Brown. We all have vices. They are akin to monsters with insatiable appetites, continually consuming our time, our health, and our aspirations, yet giving nothing in return. Addictions and habits that do not serve us, but beg for our attention if left unaddressed, the satisfaction of which may feel good and worthwhile in the moment, draw from our potential in the long term. We become preoccupied with them, perhaps even believing their false promises for fulfillment. They trap us in their clutches, making it increasingly difficult to break free from their influence. Pleasures, when they go beyond a certain limit, are but punishments. Marcus Aurelius. Another strange dichotomy of the human brain is that the pleasure we experience is not always good for us, despite potentially feeling so. Vices are a pertinent example of this. They are a form of what can be described as instant gratification. That is, we spend our time to derive pleasure in the present moment, oftentimes at the expense of our long-term satisfaction. Instant gratification rarely develops us as individuals and distracts us from striving for our potential. Many of the forces of instant gratification we face nowadays are orchestrated by others. For example, programmers seeking to develop sophisticated algorithms to continually provide users with engaging content, exchanging the time these users invest into their platform for profit. Oftentimes in this relationship, the returns to the user are negligible. Take a look at your own sessions spent browsing through social media. You may have spent an hour, 2 hours, perhaps even more, just scrolling and scrolling. Each post, each video, each article, they all blend into the next. Laugh at this, be shocked by that, cry over this, complain over that. But at the end of the session, you may find that you seldom remember what you were even exposed to during that time, or what you had learned. You may even reflect on the time spent as having been wasted, but you will likely go and do the exact same thing again regardless, perhaps even on the same day. We are habitual creatures, and it can be difficult to not sabotage ourselves at every turn. Our greatest battles are those within our own minds. Jameson, Frank. One of the countless recurring conflicts within the human mind is between a desire for instant gratification and the discipline required for delayed gratification. It may be worth remembering this principle. Every time instant gratification wins one such conflict, time is lost, and little, if anything, is gained in exchange. That is not to say that you should be unwaveringly disciplined. Instant gratification does have its place within our lives, but, as is often said, everything in moderation. Do not lose sight of your destination. Do not allow your aspirations for a fulfilling life to become clouded. Remind yourself of what you could be and how you are going to get there. The fulfillment of the you of the future hinges on the decisions of the you of the present, but both are still you. The only thing that sets the present and future apart is time. So why prioritize one over the other? Strike a worthy balance. Time is a most valuable resource. Don't squander it, for you will never be permitted a refund.